welcome to Nature's Neighbor. I am your host, Melanie Blankenship, joined with my co-host on time, right? Whatever time
Always.
it is.
I might have got here first. Yeah.
Josh Carmichael at Carmichael Environmental. And here we are. Check us out. We're at Nature's Touch Nursery and Harvest in downtown Templeton doing another little remote. We're here at the bar because, it is a beautiful spot.
The bar's open. Yeah,
the bar is open
with this.
with no booze or drinks because, it's a Monday. And then, we come in here like bat out of hells trying to keep all our hats on our head and recuperating from the weekend. I don't know about you, but I use this weekend as a weekend to just try to feel like I'm getting caught up. Like, I feel
For
like
sure.
I can't believe it's like the
I had no events, so it was
second
nice.
to last weekend of October.
Yeah.
Like, where did this time go?
Yeah, fall moves quick. It's brisk out there with the weather and the pace, and everybody's active and moving around. I think, winter is coming, and people really start to feel that, and they get, going. And
Anxious.
there's excitement in the air, but there's also just sort of that moment of, battening down the hatches and getting things ready. We've had some rain. We've had
the rain has
beautiful weather in the fall, but also cool weather.
Changed me at the farm a lot because, for a little while I was, mulching. I got a new chipper shredder for my birthday,
sweet.
right?
That's nice.
I got to, run oak branches through my chipper, and I have beautiful
So
mulch.
satisfying.
Oh gosh, this is like there's nothing more satisfying than watching it go.
It turned into something useful.
And you don't hear anything else except for that.
Yeah.
Like it's like me and my chainsaw.
Yeah.
It's like,
No one can bug you.
No one can bug me.
Or else.
Nobody wants to bug me with that thing in my hand.
Yeah.
But so it's I was doing that, and really focusing on that. But now with the rain, it's given me this opportunity to plant. The soil has opened up. It's breathing again. So, I had baby madrone trees. I had some baby coffee berries. Coming off of last week's show with Shawnee, I have to tell you,
Looking at the hills a little differently.
Yeah, it is. It just
That was nice.
Her just really fun conversation. Anytime I'm around that lady,
Yeah,
anytime,
she's great. She's so great.
It just stimulated this whole possibilities and just this new reappreciation of where we live. Again, me and hearing me talk here, it's there's always so much love for Central Coast, right?
Yeah.
But there's something at times where basic conversations or simple conversations or just this, different perspectives of things or where people have come from differently, having those conversations really make you open your eyes to what we're truly blessed with around here. And I kid you not, the bayberries are crazy right now.
Yeah.
The acorns are crazy. Looking at my rose hips a little differently from last conversation. The Yerba Buena, just so much. Poison oak, always it's always very bright and beautiful right now.
Yeah, it looks beautiful this time. Our fall colors.
But that the rain has also changed that. And, we went from, you can just see everything in the native world just going to sleep and dormant. And all of a sudden you see this new life, the cooler weather, even more cold. I mean, it's been cold the last couple mornings here, but it's funny. It's like there's this just new sense of life again.
Yeah. No,
So,
that is interesting. There's a lot of the native bunch grasses. They start to grow.
They're greening
right
up
in anticipation of the rains. All of a sudden, they wake up from the summer nap.
They did it.
And they are just like, oh, rain's here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Renewal.
So I've been planting. I got some madrone babies, like plug tray starts of them, and was sizing them up. And I have to tell you, where our farm is on the west side of Templeton, so 17 minutes from here, doing the speed limit, right, from Nature's Touch. We have a grove alongside of a hill that I travel this county and the state a lot, never to seen a madrone grove like this. And so there was once an area that you can tell was wooded on our property, way back when the charcoal was the commodity or cattle movement before my in-laws were there.
Down.
Yeah, the oaks and the madrones came down.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to reestablish this area, and I planted black willow and madrones higher on the hill, the willows lower, and then did a bunch of understory.
Nice.
And it's funny, just I mean, not even to be able to touch that soil anytime recent, but to get into this new soil, there's something about the smell. There's something about like the texture of this soil that I've just been leaving alone, right? Because I knew eventually I would plant these plants there.
Yeah.
And never did I think that the opportunity to plant now was going to be there, because I didn't think it would be this wet. We got almost 3.5 inches of rain in this last storm.
Yeah,
so,
that was a soaker for
you know,
sure.
and it's, you know, it's crazy because it's like to see that opening. And also I felt like, you know, we don't really go with a really sense of a plan. You know, we had an idea of talking about indigenous people, indigenous food, and what do we both do? Think of our really good friend Shawnee, right? Like, let's pull up a resource and have a conversation with her. Like, this is how Nature's Neighbor rolls, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, who would have thought that conversation last week with her would have stimulated me to see a whole new awareness, even just driving Main Street at Templeton, driving at the backside of Atascadero and seeing how natives are growing and how the old oak trees that, you know, are amongst communities going, I wonder if they realize, the neighbors around that oak tree, I wonder if they realize what that tree has been through, or what that tree has seen, or what
they're
that
all
tree,
hundreds of years old. You know, most of our oaks here. So.
and how clean they are now from this rain, and how alive again they are, even within, you know, their non-native habitat of people living amongst them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how beautiful they are just standing there, so strong and tall.
I used a bunch of downed wood that we had and some of the, you know, dried leaves on it for some, you know, fall decor for one of our clients' restaurants. So it was like, you know,
So
even,
pretty.
you know, in death, they're really beautiful. And yeah, that day after the rain, everything just looked so clean and clear and, you know, kind of prepped you for the season to come.
Yeah, kind of
and
washed,
hopefully we do get some good rains
wash
this year.
some crazy away, you know, but at the same time,
Well, let's hope.
I plant things in the soil to kind of bury things, you know. People always say you bury certain things. I'm like, yep, I bury roots so I can get grounded again and keep moving.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's kind of what I did this weekend, is to be able to just kind of rejoice in the fact that the weather has changed and the weather's beautiful, but at the same time, I'm still a farmer. You know, I get to enjoy planting natives and planting for the future of my children, right? Because most of these natives, those madrone trees, you know, will I see them come to full maturity?
Yeah.
You know, I need to live at least another 50 to 75 more years, and I don't know if that's going to happen, but it would be cool if I could see these trees that I just planted come to full fruition, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm planting for the future of for my children and my grandchildren, hopefully, or future generations of animals or birds, you know, and so that's, you know, what I was thinking while I was planting. But at the same time, you know, as a farmer, I'm getting ready for olive harvesting. I'm getting ready for the last tomato harvesting. You know, we still, even though it's been really cold, we're still producing tomatoes like nobody's business right now.
Our peppers are just getting happy down at the coast right now. They're really starting to fruit really heavy. So we've been waiting on them all summer.
Yeah.
Feels like tomatoes definitely are wrapping up, and still getting plenty of squash and harvesting some of the hard, you know, winter squash for putting away. So
just know too,
nice.
guys, remember a small press day, November 15th, here at Nature's Touch, 225 South Main Street in beautiful downtown Templeton. Bring us your harvest. So, you know, whatever you harvest from your olive trees, let's make sure that we don't have fruit fly contamination or fruit fly damage. If you need help with that, please reach out to me. I will help in making sure that you don't have it, because if you do, you're going to have to harvest those trees and do different things with them. If you have any contamination or damage, you can't run them through our press. It contaminates the mill. And so, you know, let's make sure this is the time. We have a couple weeks until harvest or until press. Let's really get out there and know what we're harvesting, getting prepared for what we're harvesting. You know, do you have a rake? You know, people don't know what a rake is. An olive rake. An olive rake is the easy way to, it's kind of, to me, it reminds me of a comb. Mm-hmm. You're going to go in and backwards comb your trees and pull all those olives off your tree. You know, there are tools out there to make us farmers look like we know what we're doing.
That's
but,
right.
You know, make sure to go out and get your olive rake and get all of your harvest. You don't have to clean it, right?
Yeah.
Just make sure that the fruit is non-fruit fly damaged or even frost damaged. You know, I know we haven't had a frost, but I'm not saying that everybody hasn't had a frost. You
Yeah,
know, everywhere
true.
is different. So November 15th, Saturday, starting at 8 o'clock, first come, first serve. And like I told everyone well, how long are you going to go? I don't know. We're going to go until the last farmer comes into the parking lot with their harvest. That mill will start, and it won't stop until it doesn't have olives to press.
Yeah.
So, just make sure that you
Spread
bring
the
them in
word,
and
yeah.
inspect them before. If you don't know what to look for, I'm here. This is my job. I will help teach you what to look for. Also give you possibly a little education and bettering your olive harvest for the future.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
we
that
saw a bunch of
time.
trees that were infected, unfortunately. Last times I was looking out at a client's property, so I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
You're not coming.
Don't bring them to Melanie's.
Sorry.
But you can cure them. You can do different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
If you want to cure them, I can teach you how to do with kosher salt, or if you want to do them in olive oil. Last
Yeah.
year's olive oil makes really good olive cures. This year, knowing all of that is really important to understand what your olive harvest is all about. That's hard to say really fast.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of olive harvest, tentatively, I will have Karen and Clotilde from Olea Olive Oil next week with us. Hopefully we can do it again here because it'll be easy, because we'll also do some demonstrations of
nice.
olive
There we
pressing and
go.
stuff. So Karen is the owner of Olea Olive Oil Farm. Clotilde was original owner, but Clotilde and Yves, her husband, are the ones who created the mobile press that will be in the parking lot. I think this is year 11 that we've been doing this here. So, I've been farming olives with them for so many years, I can't even keep track. But super fun to be able to have the small press here and be able to offer the service realistically. Do you know anywhere else that you can go and have an olive tree or 10 olive trees in your yard, harvest them, and have somewhere you can just take them and have them pressed?
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know
That's a
anybody else.
really benefit to having that cooperative, press that way, because so many small producers or backyard producers, whoever, people aren't going to have much of a chance to get that. And,
No.
Olive oil is life, for so many of us that
The Oleo Nevo is
you
the
know, cook
highest
that
levels
way.
of antioxidants, and you can find in any other food source. So Oleo Nevo is the first press, the immediately pressed after,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, you can't get that anywhere else in the world, because it's going to press, and you're going to go stick a cup underneath it, and you're
Yeah.
going to have it coming.
or it's going to
So-
cost you, like you could get a Sicilian first press from very boutique kind of olive places,
Still
but
has to be shipped.
Exactly. So,
So-
you're really pushing your
Don't have to
luck
do
with
that.
finding some of those things. And so when you can do it at home or do it closer to home, that's really the best place for it.
Look
Like
at
we
the
talk
olive-
about eggs that way, the same way. Like,
Exactly.
what's the best place to get an egg? It's from your backyard or as close to your backyard as possible. Because as it starts to go up, where we have all our problems with
The chicken from
disease
that
and
was eating
production
from the
and-
same soil you're standing on.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
kind of the olive oil from the same soil that you live
or
amongst.
same thing like honey or things where you're trying to get those, probiotics and things back into your life, or the
Meats.
different.
Meats,
Cheers, yeah.
that's all Mondays are my Crescent Valley Meats Day. Crescent Valley Meats is our one and only bring your animal USDA harvest cut and wrap facility. And I say one and only. There are other options, but not like ours.
Yeah.
We're the ones that do poultry. We do beef, lamb, pork, ray. Ray is ostrich and emu. We do wild game. We do quail. We do it all. Rabbits, right?
I got friends that I told them that you do quail eggs last night. They do this like pickled method with
Yeah,
the quail
pickled,
eggs, and it's a South African, sort of delicacy where my friend's from. And so I was like, oh, my friend has quail eggs like by the bucket load on her. Usually they're like, please let me get at that and connected.
Tell them to call me, because
Yeah.
they're starting to lay again quite a bit, and so we're not haunted. It's not. It's my son. Weird noises.
We're in an old building.
We're in an
We're in an
old. It's not
old building
haunted.
here.
But so yes, we Crescent Valley Meats. So Mondays are my crazy at Crescent Valley, and I say that because what you just said right now is kind of resonating in the sense of olive oil from where we live, right? We talk honey where we live. It's crazy to me that I'm sitting here talking about a small press, an olive press, and I don't know anywhere in the world that has something mobile. And I'm pretty up on worldly enterprises and worldly adventures. Even in Italy, they're, in Greece, they have stationary mills. They don't have mobile mills.
Yeah, you have to bring things to them.
And they will only do their
Massive
their
batches,
people's
yeah.
press, right? Where we're doing a community press. And the same thing like with Creston Valley Meats. There's a couple other places that will take in private people's animals to be able to. So, what is USDA? USDA allows you to sell a meat cut, right? You have to have your animals harvested under USDA in order to legally sell that meat. If you're raising your own and harvesting your own, you'll understand how lucky we are to have this infrastructure to be able to do this, right? So, Monday is really this day where I'm really realizing, it's not just raising your animals. There's so many people that have questions about raising their own food, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can talk about raising your own food. Josh and I can teach you from seed to table every day, right? But the craziness is, Josh, I'm going to ask you this question, but you and I talk about this all the time. Do you know anybody that could help you raise your own food, whether it be proteins or veggies or fruits? Then, when you need to be able to make money to be able to keep that going, do you know anybody else that can help you be able to legally sell it?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Me.
Yeah.
And I realized that why can I teach that? Why can I share that? Is because that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing. It was never about competing with somebody else. It was never about, doing it bigger and better. Like that's never what
keeping the process to yourself.
All I've ever wanted to do is raise food, grow food, raise food on our own property, feed my family first because I wanted to cut my grocery bill. I didn't want to have a grocery bill. And then I wanted to be able to make enough money that I could put it back into the infrastructures that I would be required that I needed to be able to continue to farm, right? Here I am 30 plus years later, and we're talking about a mobile mill to press olive oil, talking about Creston Valley Meats that is a USDA processing facility that can do everything, value-added products, everything. And I can't tell you, I have people calling me all the time, do you do poultry? Yes. Okay, do I have to keep the bird whole? No, I can break that bird down for you. Your friend from South Africa, I don't care where you are. You want quail eggs? I got quail eggs.
He really wants mutton too for his curry. So I told him we got to get him to.
In 2 weeks, I'm going to have a farmer that needs to just lessen their herd. There's not enough grass.
Yeah.
We're managing soil. Did I ever think that I would be this person that could talk to you about harvesting an animal? No, and there's a lot of animals at Nature's Farm that are pardoned, that don't go there. I am that person, but at the same time, I'm also a farmer. I know how important it is to balance, how to not get in over my head, whether it be how many baby chicks I have in the spare bedroom right now. But it's understanding the balance and understanding the value of life. Even for myself, my goal, I want to see those madrones come to full fruition. But every day I'm living, Josh, I want to make sure that I'm living it to the fullest. I want to check those boxes off. I want to fulfill. I don't want to be an old person and be sick. I don't want to be a person that can't do what my mind is wanting me to do.
Or leave behind something good for the next, ones to use.
At the end of the day.
Like those trees, once they're in the ground and they're happy, they're going to provide for generations to come.
The next generation, but at the same time, I need to be able to be strong enough so I can teach. Because I'm realizing that if it's not for our children or children that are exposed, how many children get this opportunity to actually be a part of the soil, raise an animal and have it harvested and turned around and sell it? How, we're sitting here and everything in the media is about beef prices and imports and not imports. It's disgusting. I can't even believe we're even talking about any of this when we live where we live. How hard is it for people to raise this stuff?
Yeah.
But I hear it all the time. People tell me, oh, well, I don't have time. Oh, I don't have this. Oh, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Well,
the value system isn't set up to hold that as well anymore.
It's not.
But I think that is also, just distraction from really taking care of ourselves in the right way. we could put, good things into our bodies and we can get better things out of our bodies as a result.
So what would happen if I would have said I didn't have time for this 25 years ago?
Yeah, really.
See, this is what I'm saying.
We wouldn't be standing here, I'm
I
sure.
wouldn't be standing here. Yet, no, there would be, a lot of things. I am not that person that's going to make an excuse. I'm that person that's going to just step up and let's do it. I don't care if I got to get dirty to do it. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep figuring it out, because what cost us today is going to cost more in the future. If we don't do it now, it's not going to get done.
Really,
because look at us now. Like,
big.
Could somebody start a small farm like mine? Mine's not very big, but like mine, and be able to make a living solely off that? No, because I'm going to tell you, even myself, I can't do just that. I have to do this, that, and everything else. And the first insurance form application, the questionnaires that somebody's going to have to fill out just for the basic farm policy that you have to have. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
The questions that you have to answer for that farm. I wish everybody the best of luck when they start just on the insurance end of it. But at the same time, know it, don't fear it. But at the same time, where I'm also going with this is, what is it going to take? Again, we asked this in February and in March. Having Shawnee last week has also stimulated me, because there's this disconnect of what is real, what's going on, and how do we keep things moving forward? How come there's more people wanting to talk politics when they really don't even know what is political and what is not? And instead of going, what do I need to do to secure my food future? What do I need to do to keep open land so farmers can farm? What do I need to do? Beef price is so expensive right now. What can I do to change those prices without turning on the news?
Yeah, with having a more secure future is, I think, what people are speculating at and wanting to, discuss. Mm-hmm. And we're not really affecting policies in Washington or even in Sacramento, as easily as we can produce or, affect things that happen in our backyards and in our neighborhoods and communities. So I think for me, that's always where it started. Mm-hmm. I was 18 and I was at the newsstand in Santa Barbara going to school, and I was like, all these issues and problems, like, wow, I don't think I'm going to affect something at that national level. So I was like, I'm going to start at the local level. And I was really able to come back to, SLO County and start my business and do that for the last, 25 years, where we could start talking with the policymakers here and with our neighbors. And like you said, even just beyond sort of that, talk, there's the actions.
Yeah.
And so also with things that, affect us, like our food so much, going out and seeing the world in a different way. Like you said, when we talked with Shawnee, and someone who has, history of being from the tribe, from this area for, generations.
But then the thing is people, I think at times, so when you say, the tribe, people still think of, the illustrations of cartoons of the Indians hanging around an open fire pit. They don't understand the new culture.
Well, yeah, we pushed and killed almost 98% of these people.
Agreed,
so it's hard to
again, they're even going through massive change, right? But the thing is the knowledge that all of them were born with and then taught throughout, just like you and I. Mm-hmm. That is something to be shared, and that is something that should be something that is naturally.
Well, that's how it stays alive, by sharing it. So.
And be able to be open into discussion about it. And it's weird to me how different our society has become when we hear, what's for dinner? Chinese food, Mexican food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all these mixed cultures. But
Chinese
then, we don't want people that don't speak English, or we don't want this or that.
But how do we learn it, right? We have to be able to, eat it in some sense. But it's crazy to me is people will talk about, health, and they'll talk about supplements, and they'll talk about, certain types of treatments that they're getting for health care, and what medication they're on, Ozempic or something like that right now. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to me that people will talk about that and then upset that, the cost of health care or this, but they don't even know how to read food labels. They don't even know, like, you know, I had
Where they're not starting with those basics.
Yeah, somebody came up to me the other day and said, "Oh, so are you for all the, you know, what RFK is trying to remove from food?" And I'm like, and I, you know, of course I'm educated in it, but I took back and said, "Okay, explain to me what you're referencing to. What, I mean,
You tell me.
You're going to say I'm for RFK. Well, who's RFK? And what does that have to do with anything about food?" And he goes, "Well, you know, I just heard of something about him taking food dyes out of our food." And I'm like, "You're my customer that always wants to talk to me about being healthy and eating food." And I'm like, "Aren't you afraid of all these additives and preservatives and dyes and fillers and, you know, all the stuff that's in food that's not labeled or it's not transparent to what it is?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, I don't eat that way." I'm like, "So you never eat anything out of a package?" And he goes, "Wait, what do you mean?" And I'm like, "You eat something."
You making your own pasta, buddy? What are you doing?
You open a package and you pour something in, or you pull it out. He's like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "How do I not eat without getting a package?" I'm like, "Bingo!" I'm like, "Aren't you for RFK and get that stuff out?" I turned it around and was having that discussion with him, because I'm like, it's not about being for. Even if he gets it out or gets it in, whatever that politician does, I'm excited because it actually has stimulated the conversation. But I'm actually very overwhelmed of how many people did not realize what goes on in most of our foods. They think, because it says, honestly, Josh, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, the wars of food labels is pretty crazy.
How many people that you would think would know organic food think that buying a label that says organic, that there is no chemicals in it? And I'm like, you of all people who are incredibly intelligent, because I see you as that. I don't see you as not aware. I see you completely aware. And you're going to tell me that buying that organic from a big box store, that you think you're buying the same as our neighbor who is farming incredibly beautiful, and you're going to question his organic and not that organic? Like, you know.
Yeah, that's tough, you know, in this day and age where people are so far removed from their food sourcing and not understanding. You know, yeah, it was really beautiful. I was out in the garden today, you know, with one of our clients, so we're harvesting everything we can for people, and I had, you know, one of the residents come up and say, "What are those green balls that are hanging on that vine over there?" Well, this was on a vine, so it was our passion fruit, because we're down below the grade. We can do whatever we want down there. So they're getting some subtropical crops, but
did you bring any?
They're not ripe yet, you know. They got to hit the ground, so they're just green on the vine.
Okay.
And then once they drop, then you're getting, you know, them to change purple, and then the wrinklier they get, and the more.
Don't forget me.
Yeah. Well, we'll be shoveling them up soon.
I can't grow those. You can't forget me.
Yeah. Well, the friend's got to share above the grade and below the grade, but yeah, just really awesome when people kind of get a little closer towards it. And then even one of my guys, we were kind of, you know, cleaning the garden up, and he started cutting down some of the artichoke seed heads that we've left up.
Oh, and beautiful right now.
I've been leaving them up so that we could get them to reseed. I was like, this is a weed I want in my orchard. And so he had cut the flower heads off. I was like, well, if you're going to cut the plant down, you got to cut the whole thing down. It grows from the ground. So just not only recognizing where food comes from, but how to care for the plants or the food or the animals. And then the whole process of, you know, harvesting, you know, food and animals. And then that's where I think people can get a better, you know, appreciation for where they live and what's there, because you don't have to grow it when you go out and you harvest things that are in nature already, like the acorns, like our berries from the trees.
So just know those artichoke fronds or the artichoke stalks, right? In Italy, a lot of people know them as cardones, because the cardones don't really flower very much. So they actually
are made for the stalk.
Yeah, they're made for the stalk. But I can't tell you how good of a broth cooking down artichoke stalks has become. Like, I'll put, you know, just artichoke stalks. I'll take the soft green off and just chop it up. It's almost like a celery texture in the center, and just broth it out. You know, just water and a pinch of sea salt just to extract
beautiful
all
stalk,
you know, artichokes stimulate cardiovascular. So, you know,
there's medicine right there, just in what you want to throw away.
You know, putting it in a container, freezing it, or using that as a base for something else. You know, that actually is
season's coming up. So.
It's so good in a crock pot. with pork and just using that for broth with that is super good. So
Yeah, and that's where people say, oh, I can't afford it, I can't do this thing. It's like, well, yeah, if you're buying all these things in packages, you probably couldn't afford it because you've made this process so much longer than it needs to be. And that's sort of where the additive, issues come in, because, there's so many things that have found their way into our food system,
I should have never been there.
so many reasons that I don't want to get into, but none of them very good.
No.
And
look at our health because of them.
Yeah, and look where we're at. And so, distracted by distraction from distractions. So how do we really find that base and that foundation like we've been talking about? How do we, not only, I just saw a great little clip of someone talking about self-sufficiency is like a farce. And so every time I've really been out in nature more and more, especially with a good friend of mine where I was learning a lot of skills, making fire by hand and catching fish by hand.
So whoever said that obviously has never spent time in the Amish community.
Well, so what they're saying is, that was their point, was that being self-sufficient, like one homestead, is not very viable as opposed to being in community with several families and several people. So what they're trying to say is like, hey, you need to have many people onto your property or onto your, place that you're getting these resources so that you can share it. And so I think that's something I learned so much from our tribal communities, is that do it together, like, hey, how do you get these acorns processed? It's a lot of work. Okay, well, not if you have 10 people doing it,
that was
or 20 people doing
Shawnee
it.
talking last week, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, and if you just look at in our driveway right now, like the acorns are unreal.
Yeah.
And so it's like such a beautiful harvest to be able to.
Yeah, pounds of flour.
I know.
Just going, under the tires, so.
What have I been doing? I've been collecting them and moving them to an open field that doesn't have cars driving over them. So, hopefully that some of them will sprout.
Well, and then that feeds animals that we could also, either harvest or appreciate or care with the forest together. So there's just so many layers upon layers. And I think that's what we have to peel back for people to really understand, like, what is true cost? What is really, a true value of something we're talking about? And a lot of it is going to come down to just changing those practices or changing how we see, these resources and understanding them. And when we can really combine all those things together, we always talk about kind of the social, economic, and environmental costs or benefits of something, it really starts to pencil out. And that's where I hope that we can make some movements for people to come together, because we do need a lot of unity, today.
And
people
it's time, and it's, valuing time, being able to communicate and connect with people, but also, valuing people's time and also making that effort in creating something better of the future that's hopefully going to be a huge food future, because we need to. There's literally with everything that's coming down, look at what I just talked about, media frenzy about beef and imports and not having enough and food additives and people really not knowing how to cook now without opening up a package, and I mean, that's just scratching the surface of what's changing. We already have a scare again. There's another huge egg recall in California. And look what month we're getting ready to knock on. It's November, and everybody wants to start baking and cooking. And
production's going to be tight, like we said.
Oh, my chickens are like not existent right now. Like, it ain't happening.
Hey, it's a little chilly out there tonight.
Like, yeah, you thought it's not happening. So but it's this time of the year that it always. But everybody's going to start making it political. But it's not. It's environmental and it's seasonal. We have to figure out how to be creative with what we have instead of thinking it's always going to happen. Government is going to be government, right? But we got to think outside of
like that today.
We got to think outside of the box all the time. But at the same time, if we were self-resilient or self-resourceful
or community resilient, I think he was trying to say.
Community resilient, we would be able to not have this impact us so dramatically.
Well, and you could rely on everyone in that community too. Kids can be participating in so many things in the kitchen and the farm and the garden, as well as all the elders. I mean, those are the ones who holding the keys to a lot of recipes, or just that time of day too, where people are like, oh, I can't do this because I have to work these hours. So it's like, that is your duties, but what about, the other members of the family or, your community being able to share that time and those resources together? And, it just really adds up when you can start to stack that. I think that's when people really start to find, more riches or values in what they're doing.
And again,
with their food
my
and
club
their-
that we will be launching, the goal is November 1st. I got some more little sign off a couple of days ago about it. My vintage club, right?
Yeah,
it's all
coming up.
about the histories of things and be able to do a trade. I want to do the exchange because there's so many people that are looking for seeds or looking for recipes or looking for tools. I mean, look what I just
help,
talked-
like we said.
How about, olive oil, olive tree rakes, right? I know that there's been so many people that have retired out of the industry. Where did all that stuff go, right? I want to be able to have a vintage farm store.
Yeah.
Because there's so many tools that we used to have, but then all of a sudden here comes the plastics and off with the others because plastics were going to make it better. But they didn't last very long. So we need to go back to the other ones because the plastic ones already broke.
Yeah.
And so, it's
100%.
It's things like that. But it's also realizing too is we are in a different time. Josh, you and I are so different than a lot of people that you and I live amongst. And the reason is because I had a little gathering last week of people and we were talking. And it was fun because there was a different group of aged people, right? So people in their 50s, our age, sorry if you're not there, I'm there, haha. They were there so badly, and they're all new to the area, okay? They were so badly looking for information and resources. They wanted a garden or they want to be able to, eat off their own soil. Most of them had maybe an acre, not very much. So
Sure.
it's changing the demographics of what they're going to
And
grow.
now they have the
right?
time, maybe, or the money to feel like they can
Most
value
of them
these
all
things.
worked. They
Yeah.
all still worked,
Yeah.
and some of them still had children left at home
Yeah.
that they're still caring for. But then there's the next generation of 60s and 70s, and I had a few 80-year-olds. The 80-year-olds were more active than the 60-year-olds. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying this. I'm actually kind of sad about this
Yeah,
because,
sure.
and then the 70-year-olds were coming to me for information because they had worked their whole lives and careers. Now they're taking care of their grandchildren. The parents of these grandchildren are non-existent. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get resources that they knew once existed, but they can't find anymore
Yeah.
because they want to teach their grandchildren
Yeah.
something different than they taught their children. And I'm like, that took me back, Josh.
Yeah, that's tough. That kinda gave me some chills.
The late 60s, 70s era of groups of people that I was having conversations with were raising their grandchildren because their children were non-existent.
Working and busy.
No.
Oh, it's not even.
Most of them were gone. Sadly, there was one that a mother had
Okay.
a child, no father. In the picture, fentanyl overdose.
Yeah.
That hit me.
So really gone, yeah.
Really gone.
Absolutely, yeah.
Other ones just couldn't bear the situations that they were in. Some of them, yes, were just too busy, right? But at the same time, it hit me because I have a situation in my home, with a child like that. You know what I mean? So is this our struggle? Is this why we're trying to go out and teach, and it's the struggle to be able to ground people from basics? Is it because we have multiple generations that have no basics? Because they've all been
We've been off the farm for a few generations
Yes,
now. It
yes.
was like back to my grandpa, where it was like he was riding a horse to school, or they were working on the farms, and then those generations have been off the farm for a long time and working in industry and working in cities, and that was a different life that's grown up here. But it's funny because a lot of friends, when the clamming opened up again for the first time in 40 years, they're like, "Oh, I got my grandpa's clam fork out of the old barn because it's ready to use it again."
Yeah, you couldn't go buy that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really, really great to see, that kind of thing come back around. And, I think with the club, it reminds me a bit of when I was living and going to school in Berkeley, and they had a tool lending library at one of the branches.
I've seen it.
And I was, contracted at the time. I was working, going through school, and it was awesome because I could go rent a tool that I didn't have to buy, for the day or whatever I needed, and then bring it back. And so, that is something I've always really cherished, that kind of model of a community,
So let me
shop.
So a group of people that I was meeting with. And I'll be honest with you, this group was formed because they just wanted to all ask me gardening questions, right? And food questions. I said, come, I'm here. Come and meet,
Yeah.
and that's what
Corralled
it became.
into one
Corralled
place.
into, it was not formal
I'm
by
only
me.
open this.
I started off with a comment of like, because somebody asked me about a prop, Prop 12. We'll just go there. I'm like, Prop 12 destroyed the poultry and pork industry for California. So I'm like, yes, that was one of those props that we should all take in our pitchforks to Sacramento. She asked me what a pitchfork was.
Oh no! Wow, that's we've lost touch. You're right. We've lost.
And she's like, "Don't get me wrong, I'm not a farm person." I'm like, "No, sweetie, it's not the fact that I'm getting you wrong. I just never thought about that. Somebody might not know what a pitchfork is."
Yeah, I guess they didn't even sell Frankenstein. I mean, people would pick up those pitchforks real quick.
They've never moved hay. They've never moved straw. They've never put straw into pigs or chickens' beds or cows, baby cows. Why would they know what a pitchfork is?
Yeah.
Right? Like, think about it, Josh. Like, why would they, if they've
One
never
of my guys
done
today, that was the first thing he went for to move mulch. He was like, get the pitchfork out.
Well, I mean,
we can't live without them.
That's what we all use,
Yeah.
and how crazy is that? And that's where I'm like, no bias, no judgment, nothing. But I want people.
We just don't want that to happen.
I want people to hear this because these are really good, hardworking
elders, really, too,
people.
of our community.
Just people, right? And it's like, but I thought about that. They've all been in careers where that's what they did. Monday through Friday or Monday, whatever, they made, you know what I mean? That's what they did.
Yeah.
And it's like there wasn't this connection to the soil. There wasn't the connection. Their trips was going to Yosemite. Their trips were going to, Big Sur, driving Highway 1. They dreamed of living in California. Some of them were not from
we went from like being in nature to looking at nature.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
And
Stay on the trail. Stay on the
it's kind
trail.
of like, oh, don't touch nature. And now it's like, oh, well, that's the biggest problem. And I think that's what's so beautiful with a lot of all of the traditional ecological knowledge, from our tribal friends is that, hey, nature is theirs to take care of us, and we are here to take care of nature. It's not what can we just get from nature.
But we're asking people that have never been a part of it.
Give or need.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
where is the disconnect
I admire
at?
them so much for taking the time and wanting to learn how to grow food. But remember what I said. They had one or two had up to an acre, maybe.
Yeah.
And their desire was to never have to go to the grocery store again.
Yeah.
And I said, I would love for you to say that, but at the time you can't say that now because how do you eat? If you want to do it, you can do it, but that's all you're going to do.
Well, and I think this club is something that sort of almost represents sort of that tribe or your community where it's like, yeah, we could all go out and grow our own food, but does that mean we have to be the ones who plant it, who pick it, who cook it, who, preserve it, all those things? What if we do it together? Maybe I grow a bunch of food and maybe there's somebody who's like, oh, I'll preserve that all. I have this, recipe or this knowledge. And so we share that time and energy that it takes to make one product. That's something I think that is sort of overlooked still, again, especially in the value of what it means. And that's where this one guy was talking. He's like, it's not to be self-sufficient. It's to be, sufficient in your, community or in your,
you live.
Yeah. And so I think that was really a great, kind of aha moment that hopefully will lead a lot of people to that same place. Because maybe if you're, 70 or 80 years old, we don't want you out there breaking your back, having to be the one who's doing, maybe all this certain physical labor or something, whatever it is that needs to be shared. Let's create that space in that time. And again, when you're only having the people, like when you're buying your food, that means you're really only getting stuff that's produced by a certain percentage of the population that can work. As opposed to the children, the elders, and everyone having a hand or ability to work with it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the other thoughts are continuously flowing through my head of that group of people that I had such a fun conversation with. It was. It was a big eye-opener.
Yeah, I could see that.
But at the same time, it was also that point of, the question of where do I start, and I'm like, you always start with a pot and a seed. Or soil and a seed.
I like it.
And so, that's my,
when people
ask me, where do you start? Soil and a seed. And so, but it also became a conversation of only you talk like, there's a lot of this going on. And I said, there was. There was. And it's weird to me of how much we're starting over again, where there was a generation of people that came in and planted and created a food culture in this society that is no longer here. And I can't tell you why.
Or
I can't tell you.
is buried,
Buried, but at the same time, the lands are sold. They've been broken up. There's, like I said, they have an acre to grow on.
Yeah.
And that same acre used to be a 20-acre farm.
Yeah, well, I was thinking even just the tribes being able to.
Yeah, even back then.
And their people are still here, and they still want to harvest things. They still want to be able to make everything.
For me, it's in my time. I'm only 50, and this is what I'm saying. Having these generations that have had nothing in exposure to the soil, right? Mm-hmm. Where I'm 50 and I've had, and I'm saying it's because where you and I live, right? It's like we have been exposed to so much magic and beauty that you can only, to me at times when I say I have an olive press and a processing plant and a farm and a storage and a commercial kitchen, and when I start talking like that, I think I sound ridiculous because it's like I'm like Speedy Gonzales, or like the Energizer Bunny that kept going and left every, like.
Yeah, we're holding a lot for a lot of people who aren't doing it, but I think that luckily we can always go back to nature. Mother Nature is there for us, right? And so I think that's the truth that we've uncovered just in our age. It's not that we know more necessarily than someone older, or we just know something different, but the truth and these universal truths of how the earth works, how the universe works, those things are solid. And like I said, those are foundational. I think that's where it takes us to, is how do we just build these really, best laid foundations to put things upon? And all technology, we like to call it like using appropriate technology. When I did a lot of, building and community outreach, so it's like, appreciating low tech and appreciating high tech as needed, but really using the appropriate amount of technology for what it is. Like when you're looking for clams, there's nothing digital that you're going to bring into the water or the beach with you. You're going to bring something like a pitchfork, or you're going to find them with your feet, so you're just using the technology.
When I was a child, I used to live on clam chowder, okay? Had to be the right potato and the right cream and butter and garlic. And there's nothing better than freshly harvested clams out of the bay, right? Like, okay. Then I had older uncles and older cousins that were all boys. Okay, I was the only girl.
And that's why you grew up so tough.
And I'm Mexican, so
that goes without saying too.
There's nothing hotter than a firecracker, red hot Mexican, So, but at the same time, I'm like, I love my clam chowder. My mom and dad would drive to Morro Bay just to get me clam chowder. Okay, I'm spoiled like that, right? But then my ornery cousins came and told me what clams ate and what they did. And they knew it because they're like, those are the poop catchers? I'm like, shush up. That is
the bottom feeders.
The bottom feeders. You can't eat the bottom feeders, Melanie. I'm like, when it tastes this good, we have to. And they kept, and because they're all older boys, right? Like if I wanted to hang out with them, I had to take their abuse, So then, I wasn't
You showed them.
I wasn't a big clam eater after that, And so it's funny because I will never forget, watching the boats come in, handing out the bags, right? The burlap bags of clams to the restaurant owners there in Morro Bay, and they would go in and you could smell it, and it was like, there was nothing better than a foggy, wet, cold Morro Bay day having really hot clam chowder. So I just do potato chowder now without the clams, but it's just...
Corn chowder's not bad itself,
So... that's when you just said clams. It's like that's what
that's the number one thing my kids ask for when I get them.
And by the way, my family we froze the fish that you shared with us because we weren't prepared, right?
Nice,
I didn't have everything. Yeah. My mother-in-law goes, "Oh my gosh, where did you get that fish? I want more of it." I'm like, "Well, I'm going to go see him on Monday. I'll let him know." So just see, that's how we roll, right? Yeah. It's just it's community, and so for all of us inland people, we don't eat fish a lot or get to see the ocean. I make an effort to go over there. But it's fun because, like I just talked about all of this, you and I are incredibly blessed because of where we've grown up. We're so incredibly blessed because you and I have had businesses and we're able to raise our children within our businesses and in here. And I have to tell you, being in the public as much as I am and hearing, I feel even more blessed, but at the same time, wondering how is the best way to approach getting more community involved in their own responsibility for their own food.
Yeah.
Like I am telling them, like, this is what I did and I want to share it. How do I share this?
Yeah.
And actually have it carry on for a lifetime. Like I'm saying, I've built this, I've shared this, and we still are using it. We're still but there used to be a lot more of me's that had their infrastructure, that had their farms, that were feeding the community, and they're non-existent anymore.
Yeah, I think
and
of that
now
a
we're
lot.
going to talk about an acre of growing food versus 20 acres, 50 acres, 1,000 acres, and keep going, right? And at the same time, government subsidies, grants, trusts, nonprofits, they're not working. They're not working.
Yeah.
Because if they are, with how many I know personally, then we should be having no problems with food sourcing.
Yeah.
But they're not.
I think that's just that joy, and it's really simple. Like there was a really great video a friend sent me, and it was like, we need to tell people to go and just pick berries or, pick flowers. Mm-hmm. And those are the gateway drugs to people wanting more. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like that whole adage of, the best way to someone's heart is like through their stomach. And so,
Mouth.
Yeah. So if we're going to get them to, really enjoy and appreciate and kind of just, I think, understand the true, value of nature's bounty, mm-hmm. is when you have so much of one thing, you can't really help but feel very rich. So when I have lots of one thing, like fish or whatever it is, I'm going to share it with people. I'm going to make them ceviche. I'm going to give them fish fillets. I'm going to, bring it to them or whatever it is. You really feel that you're in sort of that abundance model. And I think that's what people need to start understanding is that it's not really a scarcity issue, with all these food things like, oh, we can't buy eggs now. Okay, well, in permaculture, we love to say the problem is the solution. If that's the problem, that these big egg farms are creating issues of, supply, then we need to change where we're putting that demand, mm-hmm. And that's what's going to lead us to, better and better health, better and better relationships.
Well, it's going to start, so we'll see. I mean, to me, I never affected me before.
Yeah.
And it's not going to affect me this year either.
Well, if you go for, hey, we can't buy chicken eggs right now, it's like, you always got quail eggs.
How about the fact that Banty chickens, a smaller chicken, remember we talked about this with the poultry
Oh, yeah.
They are still laying. But their eggs are only that big. So,
most people don't want to buy them.
A chicken egg versus, a normal chicken egg versus a Banty chicken egg.
Yeah.
And people are like, what do you mean? What's wrong with them? I'm like, well, I did make my son an 18-egg omelet this morning.
Plenty of protein in there.
But it was like, and it was a normal size, right? But at the same time, are we supposed to be eating that much? That's what I'm saying. Like, look at all these health situations. I think we're doing the same thing too much.
Yeah.
The same thing over and over and over again, and we're doing it too much. And that was my friend about health and food allergies and RFK and all this stuff. And I'm like, whatever.
They're starting at the end instead of starting at the beginning.
I'm like,
I think that's where it needs to be.
He made me cool, stinking like tallow, okay? Like, people are like, what's that smell? Before I used to stink. Now I'm cool because I cook tallow. Like, that's what he's done for me, right? Other than that, that's it. But
tallow's having its moment now, finally. It's coming back.
But you know what? Why don't they want lard? Lard smells better. And it's like, when I cook it, all I want is bacon. It's like, can we get into the lard craze instead of the tallow craze? But
so it makes beans good.
But this is that my health customer that is like avid about fresh, organic, in season, only eats this much, doesn't eat that, and I'm like, oh God, I'm not a sous chef. But at the same time, it's become that discussion where he is so rigid about the same things, and also so rigid about having to do something. I'm like, are you having fun doing this? He goes, well, it's important, Melanie. I got to do it. I'm like, no. Do you like doing this?
That's what we're saying. The first step.
If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Your body's gonna, no matter how healthy that product is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can try to force fish down me. I know I'm supposed to eat it, but I can't eat it, okay? And I won't enjoy it, so what's the point of eating it, right? So this is what I'm saying. I was having that discussion with him, too. It was like, You have to want to do this. It's
Yeah.
not do it because I'm telling you, or don't do it because you're following a trend.
Yeah,
Do
well,
it
that's why I
because you
think
love to do
nature
it.
is so abundant too, so that there are several sources of things. You know, you don't have to always eat a few things.
Ice
I think,
cream?
I mean, ice cream breaks all boundaries and rules. I think.
Makes
Which
my
reminds me,
happy.
I gotta look
Yeah.
on that Spruce Tip ice cream
Since you're
recipe
here,
with you.
oh yeah.
So.
You're here, and I just got a new flavor. So we have pumpkin pecan is our new seasonal flavor and scoop of nature today.
Ooh.
So you guys have to try it and try
I'm a
it. Look
sucker
at
for pecan.
Miguel, pumpkin pecan. You gonna try it? Ice cream? Yeah, okay. It's not a vegetable, so he'll be good. So, all right, Joshy, guess what? It's that time.
Hooray.
So
We-
we are working really hard for Clotilde and Karen next week. Send in your questions about olive oil, olive tree growing, olive species. In my world travels, there is nobody that knows olives like Clotilde does. And I can't wait to have her on the show next
Awesome.
week. And then, but also to November 15th for the small press. I have a couple other announcements. So, Templeton Rotary is doing a community garage sale on November 1st. So we are up until the 25th, which is in a couple of days, taking donations to sell at our community garage sale on November 1st. Okay, Saturday,
sounds fun,
November
yeah.
1st. It's also Founders Day, which is our Templeton Historical Day. So just know that it's going to be fun and community oriented. We're going to have stuff right here on the bars,
Yeah.
doing samples and just having fun
Just
here.
in time for Halloween.
Yep.
Get those costumes out.
We're gonna, everybody's gonna come and hang out with us after Halloween, all hung over on candy probably.
Yeah.
So, come and enjoy. Come if you have anything you want to donate to Templeton Rotary, please do. Stay tuned for the Vintage Club and Exchange because I have some really fun stuff coming up for that. What else? That's it. I think for now I have all of that.
Yeah.
Crescent Valley Meats, you guys, if you need a Thanksgiving turkey, all locally ranged out on the Carissa. Heritage Breeds, a really good friend of ours, is actually breeding the turkeys. We're hatching the turkeys and we're even raising the turkeys. So they're not coming from any hatchery. So CrescentValleyMeats.com to order your turkey.
Fat and happy turkeys.
Yeah, we're
I like it.
already harvesting. We will harvest all the way up until the week before Thanksgiving. So, there are turkeys, but also we have all kinds of fun stuff. And then we need to get into the discussion of pet food because I just
Yeah.
came back from that fun event.
I
and-
was bringing that up last night.
and
so.
I'm like, it's crazy to think of how many people I know that buy our product from Crescent Valley Meats that are feeding their pets better than most of my neighbors eat.
Yeah. My
Isn't
friends
that
had
crazy?
dried quail egg yolks or something really cool. I was like, oh, we got to talk about that.
I'm not
one.
going to dry them, but they're going to eat them fresh because it's got more moisture. And
Sure,
more.
sure.
And the thing is we can't because we can freeze it.
Yeah.
We can do everything. So I'm excited to talk about that. We'll have that discussion and we'll try this spruce ice cream recipe that Mr. Josh here thinks I'm going to create for him. So, if we
Yeah, we have a native foods dinner, so we're making a lot of recipes with so many things we can get our hands on, and it's something that we're trying out.